Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 10th, 2018, approximately 7 p.m. If we'd all kindly rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good job on your presentation.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mayor Grieslock, Mrs. Gatos.
Here.
Mr. Poach.
Here.
Mr. Harvey.
Here.
Mr. Johns.
Here.
Mr. Arsenko.
Here.
Mr. Duncan.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Little.
Here.
Mr. Ratcher.
Here.
Ms. Rock.
Here.
Mr. Hugus.
Here.
Mr. Sedlak.
Here.
Mr. Weldon.
Here.
Before, ladies and gentlemen, I open up for public comment on the proposed agenda items, there are two letters I'm going to read, and they're very short, but I think it's very appropriate I do at this time, so council, bear with me. This is to Chief Doug Cole, our Monroeville Police Chief. This is from the Superintendent of Police, McDonough. I wanted to express my gratitude that all the members of in behalf of all the members of the Allegheny County Police. During the recent incidents of civil disorder following in the June death of Anton Rose in East Pittsburgh, you once again demonstrated your strong commitment to public safety and mutual cooperation among county law enforcement, emergency service providers. Thank you for your willingness to share your time, your resources, your expertise during these very tense times. Whether it was the use of your training facility, your personnel, your transport vehicles, or sharing your crowd control knowledge, you never hesitated to make yourself available for consultation or counsel. The citizens of Monroeville are very fortunate to have a public safety leader of your abilities in their service. Sincerely, Coleman McDonough, Superintendent of Police. And one more I'd like to put in, this is to Monroeville Fire Department number 5. And this goes to Chief Benjamin Rudd, and the department. On behalf of Liberty Borough Council and Liberty Borough Fire Department, we would like to thank you and the members of your department for the assistance you provided on Sunday, May 27th, 2018. We appreciate the tanker you provided for the residents that needed it. We are extremely grateful for your quick response and staying throughout the day and evening to provide water to our community. It is nice to know that we have the support of neighboring fire departments like yours. Again, thank you so much. Sincerely, Missy Morgan, Council President.
Nice.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's a round of applause is appropriate. And we are fortunate to have our volunteer fire departments that we have, and certainly Chief Cole, as well as each and every one of our officers. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll open up for public comment on the proposed agenda items only. Seeing none, we'll move over to the approval of the minutes of the Citizens Night meeting of June 7th, 2018, council work session of June 7th, 2018, and the regular council meeting of June 12th, 2018. Council, any other further additions or corrections?
No, sir.
Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
No. Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Now moving over to the approval of reports of our tax collections. Once again, council, any additions or corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
And our list of bills and budget transfers. Tom, anything for us this evening? Tom, anything for us on the list of bills?
No, sir.
Steve?
I have nothing.
Jim? Ron?
Nothing.
Eric?
No, sir.
And Linda?
Nothing.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And moving on, payroll report, once again, council. Any additions or corrections?
Motion.
Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Okay, council, vacancies on boards, commissions, and authorities. Tom, will start off with
Nothing tonight, sir.
Steve,
I have nothing.
Jim,
Nothing, sir.
Ron,
Nothing.
Eric,
Nothing, sir.
and Linda.
Nothing, sir.
Very good. Move on to new business. Tim, if you would, please.
Yeah, we have, item number one is the Majahutha, is that the way you pronounce it? Sharika Udipi
He
Inn.
tried.
Mention Nahuta.
Applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct a four-story hotel with 42 rooms totaling 27,383 square feet and associated site amenities. The property is located at 4129 Old William Penn Highway in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District containing 2.5045 acres. The applicant is requesting a time extension for this project. Council has a letter attached in their packet from the applicant.
Motion on the floor.
Comment.
With the motion.
Okay.
Get a motion and a second.
A motion to deny.
Second?
Questions or comments?
I will make a comment as to why I made the motion. This is not the first time that an extension has been asked for. And to ask for another 2 or 3 years on top of all the years that were given, things have changed and are going to continue to change. So we would ask that when you are ready, that you come back up and reapply. That's my reason for
I would
motion to
agree with
deny.
that, Mayor.
I also
How long
agree.
ago did we give the extension?
4 years ago. Oh, the extension, I'm sorry. I don't know when that was.
It's been quite some time, correct?
It's
It's
been,
been a
it
while,
has
yeah.
been. And so
Probably
we've
2 years
already,
ago.
we've already given one extension.
I think it was about 2 years ago.
Should be 2 years ago.
Yeah.
because,
Paul
yeah.
or Paul?
2 years. The
Yeah.
last extension was June 21st, 2016.
And they had 3 years prior to the extension to act, correct?
Correct.
So it's 5 years totally? Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
No, sir.
There's a motion and a second to deny. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Tim, if you would, item number 2.
It's Manhunafa. Am I correct on that, Paul?
You're
Pronounce it? Did I get it? Okay. Okay, number 2 is applicant requests, A&L Motors, applicant requests a conditional use approval pursuant to section 401 of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to permit vehicle services at the existing building. The property is located at 3900 Monroeville Boulevard in the C2 Business Commercial District. This is a public hearing.
Bob, if you'll handle that, please.
Yes, okay, we'll begin the public hearing for 18-3-C. Sir, would you please raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Would you state your name for the record and then sign the register, please?
Tom Greenwald.
Okay, Mr. Greenwald, it appears that the applicant, A&L Motors, is applying for a conditional use to permit vehicle services at the existing building, which is at 3900 Monroeville Boulevard. Can you tell us what it is that A&L Motors
So-
wants to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing, we're under construction. So we're building new buildings and all that. So
Can you go to one of
Move
the
to one
sides?
of them,
and-
Tom.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't touch it.
You'll get,
Stand
You'll
there.
get
They'll yell at
You'll
you.
get yelled
No,
at.
you-
Yeah, he'll-
No, they
no,
will yell at you.
he'll yell at
The
you.
people.
He
will
didn't
yell
mean
at
that,
you.
though.
The microphone heaven people will yell at you, just.
again, big trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
go ahead, Tom.
All right, so we're under construction at A&L. So we're pretty much leased the building next door, which is the old Johnson & Floors, which is 3900 Monroeville Boulevard. We're just looking to, work on some cars over there while we're under construction.
So what types of work would you do in there, like mechanical repairs?
Mechanical repair, body shop. I wouldn't say body shop. Bumpers.
Okay.
Are you doing any painting there?
There won't be a lot of painting, no. I
Okay.
mean, we'll, like, small stuff, bumpers.
Okay, we'll
we
comply
don't have a
with the
paint booth. We
county,
don't-
with
we
the
won't have a paint
county
booth.
regulations. We'll comply with all county regulations.
Absolutely.
And how long do you plan on being there?
About a year,
About a year?
maybe, give or take a few months after that.
So this is just temporary until such time as your permanent arrangements are made?
Correct.
Okay.
Is that what they're building now down there?
Well, we're built, in the back of the BMW building, we're
Right.
building a new detail facility and body shop and techs. So the whole front of the building of A&L will be
Right.
showroom.
Looks like a lot of work.
It is, yeah, oh, yeah.
Council, have any more questions?
I just, how much traffic do you anticipate coming in or out of
We were not gonna have much traffic at all. There's not gonna be no customers going or anything like that. We take the cars from A&L here over to there to get worked on, yeah. Employees will take them over there, and then employees that are working over there, of course.
Understood.
Council, no other questions? Are there any interested parties in the audience? Let the record show that none came forward. Council, you
I'd
ready
like
to
to
act?
make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Good luck with your
Good luck,
public
young
comment.
fella.
Thank you all. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
That concludes the public hearing.
Okay, moving over to motions. Tim, if you would, please.
Okay, we have four motions. The first motion is a motion to advertise for surplus equipment auction bids. There is a list, as I gave the council at the work session last Thursday, of the surplus equipment that we're going to be putting on the auction to get rid of.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
I forgot to announce that, ladies and gentlemen, that all these items were discussed at length at our Thursday meeting, if you would. So Tim, number 2, please.
Yeah, number 2 is a motion to advertise the ordinance amending and restating the rules and regulations of the Police Civil Service Commission.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Item number 3, Tim, if you would.
Okay, a motion to approve a half-page advertisement in the 2018 Gateway Gators football program in the amount of $125.
Motion on the floor.
Question?
Well, let me get the motion in a second.
Second. Or motion.
Questions or comments?
Did you make a motion, Steve?
I will, okay.
Okay, and then I'll just second, so then Tom,
Tim,
you can ask your
or
question.
Tom, you have a question?
Yeah, question. What is the cost of a full page?
Off the top of my head, let's see it.
That's what I would think, 250, that's what we might.
We have 2 school board members here.
200,
200?
Yeah.
going once.
Yeah, I recommend that we go to the 200, the full page, show support for the football team.
Then we need to withdraw this one.
Well, just amend the motion.
Okay, we're going to amend the motion. Well, first off, is everybody okay with the full page ad?
Why doesn't somebody make a motion to amend the motion to 200?
A motion to amend the motion to 200.
I'll second. See how easy that
Questions or
was?
comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
And Tim, our fourth motion, if you would, sir, please.
A motion to enter into an EEOC settlement agreement.
Didn't we just did? Okay.
We good?
I
Linda,
think so.
we good? Motion on the floor.
Motion?
Is there a second?
Give an explanation of the EEOC, just so for the public.
We have to get a second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we had an employee file an EEOC complaint. Through discussion between the EEOC representing the employee and the municipality, we came to an agreement as to how to resolve the issue, and the parties are all in agreement. And so this is the settlement to memorialize that agreement.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
I didn't hear, okay, Mr. Wilson and Mr. Duncan. Okay, Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
I reluctantly.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Tim, if we'll move over to resolutions, please.
Okay, the first resolution is a resolution in support of a Citizens Commission for Legislative and Congressional Redistricting. Council tabled this resolution at last month's meeting on June the 12th. So
Is there a motion to remove it from the table?
I'd like to make a motion to remove it from the table.
Is
I'd
there a
like to second it.
Roll call, questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
This is to remove it, correct?
This is to remove it from the tabling.
To untable it.
Aye.
Table it.
That's all we're doing right now, is untabling.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Now seeking a motion on this resolution before you, council.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that we deny this resolution. Any support for it at all?
Is it deny or remove?
Remove.
Okay.
Remove.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have one comment. After I heard this whole
Presentation.
proposal, I think it's correct that council remove it from the agenda and not vote on it, because even we get to have our own opinion on something like this. I think they should get it on the ballot, and that's where everybody will get to vote on it. I don't think entire councils, I think that's a little unfair to us to vote on this and show politics, I think, and so everybody has their own opinion on something like that. I don't think it belongs on our agenda.
Any other comments, council? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Tim, if you would, number 2.
Okay, a resolution approving the disposition of records as set forth in the Municipal Records Manual. As I mentioned to council on Thursday, the list is quite voluminous.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments on this item before you, council? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Thank you, Tim. Moving over to reports of our municipal staff. Bob, any words of wisdom this evening?
No report.
Tim, you've got 4 items, if you would, please.
Yeah, these are all activities that are coming up this summer in Monroeville, and we have quite a lengthy list here. And Joe, if you could put up the first one there. As I've mentioned last month, there is going to be a community day at the Community Park West on July the 28th. What it is in celebration of Forbes Hospital's 40th anniversary, and they are the main sponsor, and the Monroeville Foundation is presenting it. There'll be a 5K walk beginning at 8:30, and also you can walk with a doc. They will have, at this point right now, we have 5 doctors that will be up there, and you can have a 5K walk or a 2K walk with a doctor. And there's going to be entertainment with 3 groups, with Billy Price, the headliner. There'll be Forbes Hospital will have a health fair. There'll be booths, and there'll be food trucks, similar to what exactly we had up at the festivities at the July 4th. The second item we're having here is on August the 18th is the 16th Annual Monroeville Jazz Festival. And we're going to have 4 groups this year instead of 3. The first one will be the Funky Fly Project, which comes on at 2:30. The second one is the Yoko Suzuki Trio. I got that one right. She's very good with the saxophone. And the second one is Javon Rush at 5:30. And then the headliner is Emmett Cohen, the Emmett Cohen Quartet. He was down at the Pittsburgh Jazz Festival just a few weeks ago. That is sponsored by UPMC East, Dollar Bank, and Trib Live. And on August the 4th is the, I believe, the 4th annual Rivertown Rhythm and Brews at the community park. They'll have brew and also rhythm bands. And then on 4th is the Monroeville Foundation Golf Outing, which is September the 14th at the Meadowink Golf Course in Murraysville. So that's quite a lineup we have coming up this summer.
Mr. Little, what do they do with the proceeds that are made from the Monroeville Foundation?
Well, most of the proceeds have gone to the food banks. That we give $1,000 to the food banks every year, And we gave $1,000, which is really, the Monroeville Foundation gave $1,000 for the cameras that went up, which is obviously de minimis, but they thought that they should do something towards that. We've also sponsored in the past Eagle Scout projects, and we have a very small bank account right now, which is only about $20,000, and we're trying to build that up so we can give more out each year. If we continually give out the money to the food banks, then that's going to be dwindled down. But that's mainly where most of the money goes to so far.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Paul Hughes, any words of wisdom for us this evening, sir?
No, sir.
Josie?
Nothing.
Okay, right now, I'll open up for public comments on any municipal item. Oh, here we go.
5 minutes.
And just so everybody knows, we're going to adhere to the 5-minute rule.
I have a handout. I think maybe I should give that out first. Just one page.
Means I have to look at something.
Reader's on.
Thank you.
Need them.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
I'm
you, ma'am.
gonna need one too. Mine too.
Goodness.
Thank you.
Lois Drumheller. That's just one page out of a 168-page manual. I wanted to make some points of clarification after seeing the Citizens' Night discussion on emergency responders and gas and oil industry vehicles along our roadways. That was a good discussion. Point number one, unconventional oil and gas wells have been around for a long time, but to clarify some important points relative to what we're seeing now, the public should know about this industry harvesting natural gas via well pads. And this started in the 1940s. And at that time, wells tapped into porous sandstone and limestone layers, and they went vertically. Then methods started to change in the 1990s. Fracking or hydraulic fracking methods were changed, and some say enhanced by methods which extended this vertical well shaft down 8,000 feet, and then horizontally went along thin shale layers. And this method is what gives a lot of people who've come in front of you concern. It uses higher volume, fluid cocktails, if you will, injected at higher pressures along these horizontal layers for miles underneath our water table. Since this newer, more controversial method of high-volume hydraulic fracking, the science is showing us already that methane gas can escape into the environment from any of the gas wells. In fact, water from all frac wells often returns to the surface along with radioactive elements, some of them naturally occurring, and salts. This is beginning to happen right now, and can possibly occur below us in areas that were recently mapped here through seismic testing. The questions I heard asked Thursday as to whether Monroeville has done all it can under the current oil and gas zoning ordinance are very important. And we know that our first responders are able to provide mutual aid, which might even extend to well blowout should they occur within small radiuses around Monroeville. We perhaps should enforce these industry vehicles that were talked about to avoid accidents or carrying loads that are too big, which we hope don't happen en route to the surrounding well pads. I understand that our first responders can detect hydrogen sulfide gas already, which is one of the gases that can pollute from well pads. It's equally important that we outline how-to steps for safety monitoring the fracking industries that are around us, but also for Monroeville and oil and gas. For this reason, I'm handing out a one-page, as I said, out of the very large document. That comes from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection's 2018 Annual Ambient Air Monitoring Network Plan. And it identifies pollutants monitoring under the Commonwealth's Air Pollution Control Program. And the 2018 Air Monitoring Network Plan only shows one air monitor, and of course we're talking about Westmoreland County, located in Greensburg, just one. And this monitor is incapable of capturing many of the emissions that could result from an unconventional natural gas well leak. And nor is it showing any other monitoring near enough to these 134 gas well pads in Westmoreland County, many of which are close to us, to sufficiently monitor all these wells. Please take into account this document toward an update of a zoning ordinance in Monroeville for oil and gas industries, because this is what the industry should monitor, should they come to Monroeville. That was point one. Point two, it was also mentioned at Citizens Night that cases argued in the courts are being followed, which is very good to monitor those.
30 seconds.
I would
Lois.
like to ask our solicitor to take over his take on the recent Pennsylvania Supreme Court decision in the Gorseline versus Fairfield Township. But before that, I wanted to get his take to clarify one more thing, and that is if the Monroeville's Planning Commission meetings are considered public meetings. If so, are they mandated by law to allow for public comment under the Sunshine Act? Thanks in advance for addressing both of these questions, Mr. Solicitor.
Once again, I'll leave the floor open for anybody that would like to address council on any municipal item. Seeing none, we'll close that proportion of the meeting, and we'll do reports of our council members. Linda, I'm going to start off with you first, please.
Well, I will once again say thank you to the 4th of July Committee for all of their hard work, to Mr. Johns, great job. Great job to all the people. It was a lot of work. It turned out fantastic. I don't think anything could have been done any better, and if anybody thinks so, well, you ought to try setting that up. So kudos to Mr. Johns on that. Yeah, volunteer. Lastly, of course, about our senior center, which is always a great topic. They always have so much going on. I want to remind you of the senior luncheon for this month. Monday, July 23rd. You have to get your tickets by July 18th. They will be stuffed shells with salad, garlic bread, dessert, and refreshments. So that's always good. But Wednesday, July 18th at 12 o'clock is their luau bingo, and that's always a great time. There's food and refreshments, and it's just a super fun thing to do. So the new book is out. You can see it online on our website or pick a copy up at the library, at the senior center, or here at the municipal building. So please do so because it contains tons of information. And that's all I have for tonight.
Eric, if you would.
Sure. Well, part of my report this evening, again, first of all, Jim, well done. I mean, you were quite busy all nights, too, as well. And thanks for letting us all know and keeping in touch with us, too, during the 4th of July parade and the fireworks displays as well. Library, a lot of things going up. Joe, do you still have the picture downstairs? The folks in the library sent over. They had a lot of things ongoing. Number one, I believe the garden club's just taken over their garden over there. They've got it reinvigorated, and they're back at it. So a lot of folks here in the community and stuff that have been working on it. They were working on it in the middle of that 90-degree heat here a couple of weeks ago. And then this past week, I believe they also had these particular photos were part of, I guess the way the photo came back out, I have a smaller version on my phone, was some of the they had a butterfly release out into the wild as well. So they've got a lot of activities going on over there. They're still quite busy with everything that's happening. Their adult programs are completely filled through, starting next week, even some of their French conversation group, as well as their Calliope folk song nights, and the Readers Theater group have been ongoing for the adults. Let me move over to the the teen programs as well. Again, very, very busy. I was just there on Tuesday, and there was almost no parking in the evening. They're so busy with it. I missed trivia night, which is bad. Yeah, I get a trivia. The Force was with Linda on Saturday. There was Star Wars playing as well, our very own Princess Leia. The Human Animal Rescue League information, they have a kids reading club program that ends up in a bingo type night for the kids as well. That's ongoing. But another big event that started, I believe this past week, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, and last week was the elevator construction.
Correct.
Is underway.
That is correct.
And all that money was raised by the folks at the library without capital expense from Monroeville, as well as a grant activity. So that's been underway, and that destruction as well of the walls over there, and it should be done shortly. I think that's all for the library now. That's all.
Ron, if you would.
Yes, I just wanted to, those of you who got your packets, I wanted to commend Chief Cole on his packet and comprehensive report that he provided us for last year. I think it was very interesting, and he did a nice job on that. Once again, I wanted to I'll go on Ms. Gaddis' comments and commend and thank Mr. Johns for all the work he put into the 4th of July parade. I think it was a great event for the public. Unfortunately, you can't control the weather for the fireworks.
Why not?
I just wanted to commend Mr. Johns, Harold Gutowski, and the rest of the committee for putting in so much work. Most people have no idea what goes into this and what's required. Good job, Jim.
Thank you.
And MS4 committee has pretty much completed their meetings. Packets are being organized and prepared for council's review. After that, public meetings will be scheduled for their review. And last but not least, the public radio system being installed is moving along. I think we're to the point where there's work putting the stuff up on the radio towers, way higher than I want to go, and once that's done, it'll be almost complete, but that is moving along. And that's it.
Jim, if you would.
Yes, sir. First off, I'd like to thank, excuse me, all that attended the parade and the fireworks. It was a great day. It was almost a great evening. Unfortunately, due to the weather and the folks that set them things off, you can't play around with that kind of stuff when it's lightning. I don't want to apologize, but we went to the next day, but it was mostly all safety concerned. But thanks to everybody that attended. And a very, very special thank you to, it'd take me forever to thank everybody. We have a great committee, all the folks that helped do it. It wasn't me, it was everybody else. And a very, very special thank you to Harold, Izzy, his crew, Mike Adams and his crew. You know, without Harold and Izzy, a lot of you folks don't realize, the night before the parade and the morning of the parade, if you have 96 people signed up, that doesn't mean there's 96 people. What that might mean is number 14 in a parade might have 10 participants. So when they're out there at night with a fire truck and a police car and they're on Route 22 during traffic trying to paint marks on a road, that's not an easy thing to do. I was over there, so I mean, God bless them and the rest of them. And a very, very special thanks to Kelly Sasso. We were able to get her to be our MC for the parade. And she said to me, JJ, I had a lot of fun, and if you would let me, I'd love to do it again next year. So it's already nice to
You did a great job.
Very
and
nice.
she's a great lady.
And she is a Monroeville resident.
And she is
I
a
didn't know
Monroeville
that. She
resident, by
mentioned
the
that.
way. There's a picture of her right there. Yeah, she is a Monroeville resident. She just recently moved into Monroeville. And I didn't know that either. With that, that's all I have about the parade at the minute. A couple other quick things. Abers Creek Road, for those of you who don't know, it's been going to be shut down for 60 days. I'm getting a lot of phone calls, and Mike Adams is getting a tremendous amount there. Everybody's complaining they think it's the municipality of Monroeville. It is not. It is PennDOT that's working on the two bridges, and they shut it down, and they didn't let a lot of people like Mr. Hugas and his staff know. They could have been a little bit more cooperative, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to be shut down. Hopefully, they'll get it open pretty quickly. One other thing, Santa's Kids, everybody knows how much I'm involved in that, and a week from today, Santa's Kids is having their Christmas in July event at the Golden Goblet on Route 286, and with the help of them, our golf outing and one other event last year, for those of you who don't know, we were able to help 483 children here and in surrounding communities, and just to try to each child got a $50 to $60 toy that they asked for. They were bought, they were wrapped, they were delivered, and each family got a $50 Giant Eagle food certificate. So that's why we do it. So if you get a chance, stop down and say hi, have something to eat, and buy a raffle ticket. With that, I'm done.
Thank you, James. Steve?
Yeah, I was just informed tonight that Pete Bovich's wife, Jane, passed away. And Pete worked, Pete worked for us for around 20-some years. He's been retired quite a few years, but Jane was a super person, and I'm sad to hear that news tonight. Great job on the 4th of July committee, and
One step ahead.
yeah, stop and help JJ's kids. That's all I have. Thank you.
Tom?
Thank you, Mayor. My sympathy goes out to Pete Bopich and his family. I just learned about it today. I got a couple things I'd like to bring out. There's a lady, Reverend Mary Washington in Garden City. She's been going around planting flowers throughout the community, down at the pool and different places like that. and she's been doing it all on her own, and she's just helping the community. And then I have Beverly Reinhardt that does the entrances to Garden City, and here's two people that are tireless in their hard work in helping make our Garden City very, very beautiful. I do have a couple other things. JJ, I'm sorry you weren't able to do the fireworks on the 4th. And on the 5th, I would appreciate if you move the time to 6:30 because I got to bed at 7. And so I can't always make the fireworks. Great job to you and your staff. Kathy Forrest and her Miss Monroeville, they did a terrific job. I got a chance to talk to some of the young ladies, and they're very special young ladies. The 4th parade was shoulder to shoulder with people. The kids were great. It's great to see the kids out there at the parade, attending the parade. They're our future. The park program was terrific. Lots of food trucks. I had the lobster roll. It was amazing. And they had bands, and it was very, very nice. Today, about 1:47, I just pulled in my driveway. I was talking to Mike Adams, and I went into the house, and my power went out, and there was a lot bang, and my power went out. I look outside. I think somebody hit a pole. Nope, a tree fell down from across the street, across the road. And so I called Mike at 1:47. He brought a crew out. They were finished by 3:15. And this tree was huge. It wasn't a small tree. The tree completely covered the street. The tree was about 3 feet in diameter. It took 3 dump trucks to move the debris, and the cleanup was complete. They did a fabulous job. Thanks, guys. And, I think we need to give you guys a special letter just to say thanks for all the hard work you did. And they were, not one of them complained. They were just like happy as the 7 dwarfs, you know? That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Before I go, Ron, you had one more item?
Yeah, I forgot to bring this up. I don't know if any of you have had as many phone calls as I did since our illustrious PA government legalized fireworks.
I was going to bring it up, but go ahead, Ron.
But I probably have got no less than 10 calls, most of them from seniors, because people can't be reasonable. They can't stop it at a reasonable time. They have to keep going to 1 a.m., till 2 a.m. setting off fireworks. And then they can't be reasonable to keep it off other people's property. And so this is the kind of stuff we're going to deal with, because Pennsylvania passed a legalized fireworks law to get their 20% tax.
Yeah.
That's what the tax is on the fireworks, by the way,
Yeah.
20%. And so I just wanted to ask if any of you have been getting the same type of calls, and is there any type of ordinance we can create
Well,
to?
I think, Chief, we need to beef up our ordinance
I do
from
too.
from the
I agree.
sound
I
level.
agree also.
Well, that-
What, Council, would it be
I haven't
appropriate
received
to
any
have
calls.
Bob look into
I
it?
did. I received
Don't
one.
we have a noise ordinance?
There's a noise
Yeah.
ordinance.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to have somebody,
2414, yeah.
150 feet, I believe, was.
you're going to have somebody walk around with a decimeter, okay?
Yeah.
And be X amount of feet away from the noise
Right.
and tell you what the
Right.
decibels are before you can enforce it.
But what ordinance could we pass that you wouldn't
Well,
enforce?
but there is an ordinance, or the state requires 150 feet.
Right.
That doesn't fit
From
too many
any structure.
places in our
That doesn't
borough.
work in my
Wait,
neighborhood.
I'm sorry,
that's
couldn't hear you.
fine.
Couldn't hear you.
I was looking for something that would be reasonable, that the police could enforce without having certified tape measures or decimeters. And if
Common
you
sense.
shut them off at 10 o'clock, just for example, at 10 o'clock, they could go up and write a citation for the ordinance.
Right, right,
I don't know if we can, but
good idea.
But we'd like
And
to
the
look,
other, the
let's
other,
look into it.
I think we should look into it.
Yeah.
Let Bob do that,
Yeah,
Bob, would you?
let's look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first issue is whether or not in adopting the fireworks law, Pennsylvania excluded the ability of municipalities to regulate that subject at all. That's the first question that has to be answered. Assuming that question is no, then we have some latitude to adopt some of our own regulations.
Right.
If the answer is that they did preempt the entire subject, then you have no power to pass it.
Well, it
That's
says,
what we have
in-
to find out.
Bob, it says in their, in the state police information that they have out there, that the municipality, their ordinances take precedent over the state. Now, I guess that means the noise ordinance or the 150 feet. Now, the 150 feet, there's not a place in Monroeville where there's 150 feet you can shoot it off unless you go to the park, and you're not allowed to shoot them in the
Or a
park.
football field or something.
Yeah.
But at any rate,
what
I
is our
think
noise
we need to
ordinance?
look into it and see
We
what
do,
we need
we
to do.
do.
2414
and
is
that'll
the
give us
We
time.
we
What-
talk- we
what
can
is
sit here and
our-
talk about it all night long.
Yeah.
We need to look into it.
What is our noise ordinance currently?
It defines it into three components, Steve. There's like a nighttime hours from 10 to 7, and then an hours from 7 to,
I mean, couldn't we enforce
Seven.
that, Ron, or
It's
not?
very difficult to
it's
enforce.
it's very
It is
difficult.
because, I mean,
Measurement.
believe it or not, there was a business here that had
Music
air
or
conditioning, heating unit causing all-night problems. So we actually went over and went 150 feet from it and took decibel readings, and it was in violation, so we could do something. But how are you going to do that for people shooting off fireworks in their
Right.
backyard?
Not
We
just the
we
manner of shooting
probably
them.
know that the decimal ratings are going to be above what's legal.
Yeah,
I
but
would
you
Besides
can't-
that, I had bottle rockets in
you'd
my
have,
pool.
well,
You
you'd
have
have
to
to, no
catch
matter
them.
what ordinance.
Think about what I just said.
The
No,
prob-
that's true.
The problem is if you write a
I know you guys don't have a
citation
pool, but I
and
didn't.
you go to the district magistrate, he's going to say, how do you know it's a decibel level? You have to have a meter. The municipality doesn't even own a meter.
So we have to come up with something. So this is conversation, it's especially for
Yep.
the next
take
holidays.
I'm in.
So
Well,
we'll
well,
talk
the
about
other,
that.
the other
Can I-
issue
can I-
is, it says in their, the state police information that they cannot be, they have to be sober. They cannot be drinking while they're doing these.
Oh, what fun's that?
Now we're gonna be like DUI checkpoints in people's yards.
Well, so you
but-
get a call, if the officer gets a call, he goes, and if he sees alcohol there, okay, guys, you're shut
Yeah, but
down.
we have to obviously put
And we're
something
gonna look
together.
into it.
We need to
Let's
look.
let him act.
Excuse me, Miss,
We're all
Okay.
over it.
Deputy
We're good.
Mayor, I would like to give my condolences, not only for myself, but for my family too. Pete Bovich and the family. My family's known them for a lot of years, and I just saw Pete when my mother was in the hospital, and Jane was in the hospital as well. So that was in the last month or so. And I didn't know, and I just
I didn't know she was sick.
really want to give deepest sympathy to the family.
Obviously, I have a couple of quick items. Obviously, Jim, great job, you and the crew on the 4th.
Thank you.
To the Bobich family, condolences. Pete is a great guy. If you knew him, you would certainly think the world of him. We do still have a vacancy in the 5th Ward for the Park and Rec Board. Please, anybody on the 5th Ward, if you're interested, please send your information in to Tim. PA House passed House Resolution 291. I know I've been saying it a lot here when it has to do with our collections of our earned income tax. For those communities that do hear us, and if you are listening, please contact your state reps and your state senators to make sure this bill never becomes law. This is a wonderful, the Act 32 as it stands is real, and what that is, the earned income tax is a lifeline for every community. If the state takes a hold of it, it'll be a mess. I don't care who hears me say it, they'll never do it as efficiently as it's being done now. One other issue, House Bill 1684 was approved by the Transportation Committee, and what that means is no longer will you be able to hold your cell phone. It hasn't passed yet, but it's going to the full floor. If you are caught with your handheld in your hand.
He means while you're
you will-
driving.
While you're driving,
How about if you're drinking?
you will be in trouble. And last but not least, I forgot to announce out that Nick is on vacation. I apologize, Nick, for saying that at the beginning. With that, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.